Lord have mercy. That hasn't happened all night. Okay, we'll work on it. Okay, so got the disclaimer. We're not guaranteeing anything, but we just want to make sure that we're clear on the objective for tonight, which is to find some cash flow. So some people, when you hear about taxes in general, you start to pull your hair out, right? You look like this lady right here, like, oh, I just don't want to talk about this. I don't want to deal with it. I have so much going on with this situation. I understand, Brittany, that's so funny. I understand, right? We get it, but it's going to be a little bit better. Let's just talk about it. And then somebody heard me say W4, and they was like, the W4, what is that? You know, that's so funny, but it's true, because sometimes we're just going through life leisurely and we're really not paying attention to those things, or nobody really just told us about it, because our financial literacy systems in schools and things like that did us no justice. And Mrs. Thomas said that earlier. So very, very important. So let's just talk about what the form is. All right. The form is very simple. The purpose of the form is so that your employer, which is your job, can withhold the correct federal income tax from your pay. Let's be clear. If too little is withheld, you generally owe taxes when you file your return and may owe a penalty. If, and this is from the IRS, you all, so I didn't make this up, okay? I can't make this up. If too much is withheld, here we go, let's hear that, you generally will be due a refund. Now, can anybody tell me what the word refund means? Just real quick, help me out. What is a refund? Anybody know? What is a refund? I'm gonna sit here for 1 second. Can anybody tell me what a refund is? While you type it in the chat, complete the W-4 when changes to your personal or financial situations change, so you can update it at any time. So they said a refund is money owed to you. That's a different one. That's not quite it. That's not quite it. I guess it is owed to you, but there somebody said it's money due back to you due to an overpayment. There we're going to tell you. It's an overpayment to the government, Latrina. You're absolutely right. Yes. A refund, let me break it down for you. Means again, and fund means money. So a refund is just the money that was given to you. They just giving it back. You gave it to them and they're like, oh, well, we're going to invest it and take care of it all year for you. And we're going to give you that exact amount you gave us back. No interest is normally paid on that refund. Okay. So with that in mind, what we're going to do tonight is make sure that you understand you're responsible for that W-4. It should be updated every single year, or when your personal or financial situation changes. So if that life change happens, you have a baby, you get married, or you separate, your child is no longer a child in the IRS's eyes and they turn 17. They're not a kid anymore. That means they're not getting the same credits that they got before. Your situation is changing and you may want to revisit that W-4, and that's what we're about to do tonight. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, many times people fill this out incorrectly. We're going to fix that tonight. Make sure you take it. I put it in the chat, and we also sent it in an email. If you want to print that out, if you want to just kind of get it and mark on it, put it in your computer, right? It doesn't matter. Just get it so you can have access, all right? Or if you just have pencil and paper, write number 1, 2, and 3, and you'll know the answers to the questions that will pop up, all right? We want to make sure you follow along. Most times people fill out incorrectly, or they mishap, and they think that exemptions and allowances are the same. Well, guess what? There is no longer any allowances. That form has changed. So if you were thinking, oh, I'm gonna put a 2 on my W-4, that is all gone. It's changed again. And we're gonna talk about that tonight. One other thing, because the scenario I'm gonna give you tonight is gonna be married filing. No, the scenario is gonna be head of household, but I want to address a couple of things for those of you who are married. If you're married, just say me in the chat. Just say me. That's all I want you to say. I'll make sure I'm talking to somebody on here that's married. Okay, great, Miss Tammy, great. You're married and all that great stuff. Wonderful. Now, the advice I'm going to give you tonight, I can't go through both sides of the W-4 because we don't have the time for that. I'm going to go over the front page. And if you're married filing jointly, which is really anybody, but you want to fill the form out based on your situation. But if you're married filing jointly, you want to make sure you pay attention to what I'm getting ready to say. The W-4 form is one form for the entire household. Now, somebody been messing this up. I know you have. It's okay. It's one form for the house. You and your husband. Let's also, or spouse. I'm going to say spouse, husband, wife, whoever it is. You and your spouse, it's one form. The second thing is that you split the number. Once we finish, you're going to split that number, or the person making the most money annually uses the W-4 and the other person just does zero or don't claim any allowances or anything on the form, no numbers. Okay, so that's you're on zero basically. So that means you're paying higher taxes because you're not making as much money as the other person. Now, either one of these could work. I'm going to answer your questions at the end, but I just need you to take notes of these because it's very important you understand this. This last piece I'm about to give you, oh, it's a game changer for me, because what we normally find is that most married couples, if they file together, either both of them are claiming all the children. So let's say you got 4 kids. Well, that means that both of you got 4 on your W-4s. No, that's 8. That's 8 kids, okay? Or let's say you're married and you don't file together, but on your W-4, guess what? You got married on there at your job. So you're underpaying taxes because that's a different status that you're filing your taxes on. So you got to be consistent. Now, I'm not giving you any advice. Now, I could, but I'm not telling you what to do with your situation. If you're married filing joint, you probably should be filing that way, but there's different situations for everybody. You do what's best for you and your household and talk to your tax professional to assist you in that area. But what am I saying tonight? If you don't file taxes together, then the W-4 is filled out separately as single or head of household, or there's another one that may say married filing separately. Listen to me. Are you listening? Can y'all hear me? If you're married, I'm going to say it one more time, and you don't file your taxes together, make sure that W-4 form is filled out accordingly. You cannot be married on your W-4. You can, but you're going to underpay a lot of taxes, and it's going to hurt you when it's time for you to file your taxes at the first of the year because you paid a different tax rate than a person it would if you were. All right, so we got that done. Married people, y'all with me? Say yes. And then we're going to move on. Just say yes. Somebody, I just need one yes, and we moving. Yes. All right. Y'all understand. And you don't have to do anything but blink fast at the screen. I can't even see you right now if I was just talking to you. Don't do anything. Just blink. All right. Here we go. So the example we're going to give tonight with the W-4 is going to be head of household. If you have questions about that married portion, we can talk about that later. Just want to go ahead and get into the example. This is the sample that I have to fill out, but you fill it out based on your personal situation. So if you're single, whatever it is, make sure you fill it out the way that you file your taxes. So this example is Coco Johnson. She's head of household. She has one job. She makes about $49,000, and she has one dependent at the age of 7. All right. So on her form, at the top of the form, this is what it looks like. She's going to just put her name. Very simple. She's Coco Johnson, her social security number, the address, and all that stuff. But now in section C is where we get to where it's time for you to start marking some stuff that's important. Are you single, married filing separately, or married filing separately? You check the first one. If you're married filing jointly, you would check the second box. Or if you're head of household, you would check the third box. This is in section C right here in step 1. Now you would check what's best for you, but I want to be clear for head of household, which is what Coco is the sample or the example that I'm giving tonight. Now, what does it mean to be head of household? Here we go. Let's talk about it. The IRS says that generally you can claim head of household filing status if, and this is only if, here we go, you are unmarried and you pay more than 50% of the cost of keeping up a home for yourself and a qualifying individual. Here we go. Now, what does that really mean? If you're unmarried on the day of the last year, on the last day of the year, very simple. I don't have to explain that. Paid more than 50% of the cost of keeping up a home. If you live with someone and you pay half of the expenses in that household, there's one qualifier right there. The next one says a qualifying person lived with you for more than half of the year. That means and I'm gonna move on to another one just so we can cover all of that area. A child that's in college and counts as a dependent, that counts. A dependent parent, they don't have to live with you, but you help to care for them. I'm gonna say that again. A dependent parent that does not have to live with you, but you help care for them can be a dependent, as well as paying child support. That does not qualify. Let me make sure that it's clear. Paying child support does not qualify. So when it says a qualifying person, that means that you could actually have a dependent that, like a child, or just someone that you care for that does not work, or they don't have their own income and things like that. Okay. So, for some reason, give me 1 second. I'm showing like I'm going dead and I don't know why. I thought. There we go. Okay, I'm good to go. Okay, so with that in mind, this is head of household. You got to have a dependent of some kind, and you have to be unmarried and paying at least 50% of the cost of your household. Got it? Got it. All right, let's keep going. That's what that means to be head of household. If you're single, and pop quiz, right? And it's open book. If you're single and you don't have any kids, are you head of household? I mean, answer yes. Oh, okay. Yes or no in the chat. Miss Monica got it. Are you head of household if you single with no kids? No. You sure? Are y'all sure? Because this one man told me, Candace, I'm the head of my household because I pay all these bills, right? I told him, well, that's great in your life and how you feel. But no, you are not head of household as it relates to the IRS and filling out that form, all right? All right, here we go. No, it doesn't depend. None of those things. Here we go. If you single and don't have kids, you better mark single on that form. All right, because I can't say that. You may have another dependent. That's true, Tamika, but that's not what I said. If you single and you're not filing any kids on your tax return, let me be clear. No, you are not head of household. If you're single and you borrowed somebody else's kids, now say, don't act like y'all don't know, okay? People do this all the time. It's okay. I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying. If you single and you borrow somebody else's kid, I wouldn't even claim that on my taxes at my W-4. Why? Because that person may just decide, I'm not letting you carry my baby this year, okay? If I'm not letting you carry my baby this year, then guess what? Guess what? If I'm not letting you carry my kid or my dependent or whoever it is, you're right, Candace, you're right. I should be more specific. If I'm not letting you carry my kid or my dependent or nothing, then guess what? You mark that form that said, yes, I'm head of household all year. Now you're going to mess your own taxes up because somebody else changed their mind about the situation. So you have to be very careful with that. If they're not yours, it's not your dependent for real, don't carry them throughout the year. Just get the extra at the first of the year. That's what I would recommend. All right. So yes, you're right, Candace. You could carry a dependent who you take care of. A dependent that is a parent that you take care of is considered head of household. When I asked the question, I said, do you have a kid? I wasn't specific enough. All right, cool beans. Let's keep rolling. Okay, this is the step 2. Now, step 2 is really just information. It's for information purposes. Most times when people see this section, if you're married, what normally happens, you may check that box right there, but you were only going to do one of these sections, all right? If you're married, you may check that box, but in this case, I'm going to tell you not to do anything on step 2. Keep everything blank because we're going to fill out the form the proper way, all right? Tip, it says here, this to be accurate, if you have other jobs, here we go. If you have other jobs or you're self-employed, income, including the independent contractor, make sure you use the estimator. Now that estimator is something we're not going to review tonight. It's very extensive, but it is something you can use, and it's at the top of this form, irs.gov/W4 app. It actually is there, all right? Or talk to your tax professional, they'll help you out. Okay, here we go. Head of household, we're good. Here's the information, and this is the example that we're given tonight. Let's keep going. This is section 3. And the W-4 is actually, they made it shorter. I can't say that it's simpler, but it's shorter. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Anybody able to talk? Unmute yourself if you want to talk and read with me. Anybody want to read?
What do you want read? Step 3, claim dependents. If your income will be $200,000 or less,
Mhm,
400,000 or less if married, filing jointly.
mhm. Keep going.
Multiply the number of qualifying children under the age of 17 by $2,000.
All right. We stop there. Now, thank you so much, Miss Katrina. All right. Now she said, if your income is less, here we go, is 2,000 or 200,000 or less, and that's you single, as a single or head of household individual, 400,000 or less if you're married, filing joint. So in Coco's example, she makes less than 200,000 and she has one dependent that is 7 years old. So that means that she would put 2,000 there. But I want you to make a point here and a note here that says qualifying children under the age of 17. If they turn 17, they're not under 17. You do not put a number there. Oh, I just helped somebody. Because if you put a number, you're not getting the same credits anymore, and you're going to cause yourself to owe taxes. All right. I'm going to say it again. If they are 17, that means they're not under 17. So don't put anything. Everybody got it? We good?
I have a question.
Yes.
About that.
Chantel.
So what if they will be turning 17 that year? So like, for instance, they'll turn 17 in September and you're filling this out in January.
Gotcha. If they turn 17 in September, they will not qualify for that credit because that means they're 17 inside of that tax year, which it would end December 31st of whatever tax year it is. So you could not include them on that tax return as you know, and that number.
Makes sense.
Is that helpful, Chantel?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. All right. That means, Chantel, that they would go under the next section because it says multiply the number of dependents of other dependents by 500. Now, in this example, it says 0, but in your case, Chantel, if this happened, you would want to put a 500 here because the other dependents, and some of you are probably wondering, why is it, somebody marking on my screen, help me out. Let's not do that. Some of you are wondering, well, why is it that it's a 2,000? It used to be a 1 or it used to be a 2. Little background, just a little. What happened is they changed the form to where they're giving you the amount of credit that they're giving now, right? And the credit went up, and that was a change this year, but they hadn't updated the form. But anyway, I digress. They're using the actual number of credit or amount of money that you get for the credit for that dependent. So the child tax credit is $2,000. That's the $2,000 that's being entered there. The other dependent credit is $500. That's the amount that's being entered there, just for your working knowledge, okay? It says add the amounts together. In this example, it's gonna say $2,000. Got it? We got it. Now I'm gonna move. This was simple. I want to say any questions right here, because I'm gonna kind of fly through the rest of it. It's going to be really
just go back. I mean, this is the teacher and me. You define dependents in different ways. So
yes,
you're disqualifying if it's a dependent under age 17 and that first $2,000 amount. But if they are over 17, but they are in your definitions of dependent, then you put 500.
That's correct. So that's including a child in school, in college, a high school student in Chantel's case that turned 17. It's also a dependent parent that you are helping care for. All of those are included as dependents. Good question, Katrina. All right, good clarification. Wonderful. All right, so with that in mind, any others? Because I know the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. There are like zeros everywhere. All right, here we go. I'm gonna keep going. You got that piece. Other income under A. Now under other income, it says not from jobs. So this is the section if you are self-employed. Oh, this is good. If you're self-employed and you're making other money, or they're not withholding taxes from your check, which means you're probably self-employed or independent contractor in some form or fashion. It says if you want tax withheld from other income you expect this year that won't have withholdings, enter the amount of income here. This may include interest, dividends, or retirement income that you may be pulling out that they are not taking taxes out of. All right. Now, in this case, this is not a second job. A second job means that they're taking taxes out of that check. That's just another W-4. In this case, this is income that is not being taxed in any other fashion. All right. In Ms. Coco's case, it is 0. Whatever your number is, you would put your number. Now, self-employed people, it depends on your business model and how you're filing your taxes. Seek a tax professional, because if you say, okay, well, I grossed $20,000 in my business, but I had tax deductions and write-offs of, let's say, 25,000. You shouldn't even put a number here because you didn't have any money that was made in this case. All right, so that is a little deeper than I want to go tonight. Just make sure that you contact your tax professional if you need assistance with this section. All right, keep going. Deductions on B. If you expect to claim deductions other than the standard deduction and you want to reduce your withholding, use the deductions worksheet. All right, now all this means, and on the worksheet page 3, you can look at that, but I kind of did a little scroll down here. The filing status or standard deduction for each section of your qualifying area, single or married filing separate is 12,500, married is 25,100, and head of household is 18,800. Now, what they're saying is, and I'm going to make sure we got this, and I'm going to give you an example, okay? What they're saying is that if you plan to itemize, which is more than the numbers that are here on this standard list, then you want to put that number here in B, in 4B. What does that include? That includes mortgage interest, student loan interest, IRA contributions, business deductions, things like that, or what they're using here as deductions. Charitable contributions, all of those kind of things are included here to help with that number. If it does not exceed the standard, guess what? You get the automatic standard and you would put 0, okay? Now let me give you an example of what this looks like in just a moment. C says extra withholding, enter any additional tax you want withheld from each pay. Now let me ask you a question. Now this is for y'all to put in the chat. Do you want to pay the right amount of taxes, or do you want to give them extra money? You think the government needs extra money from you? Yes or no? Do they need extra money from you? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay, I didn't think so either, Monica. All right, so no extra money to the government. I think we're gonna put a 0 there. Now there are times when you may be filling out your forms incorrectly and you need to overpay or do more in this section. What I would say is I'm not sending more money to the government. I'm using better strategies so that I can keep more of my money in my pocket, and I'll find a way not to have to send them no extra. Okay, so that's what you want to do. All right, that's good. So let me give you an example of that B section, and then we're gonna get rolling and we'll be almost done. All right, here we go. 1 second. Woo. Okay, I'm ready. Excuse me. Okay, so under the itemized deductions, I always like to take this a little further because I get this quote, this saying all the time. So I need you all to help me, okay? Have you ever heard, and I don't care if you believe it or not, have you ever heard that if I buy a house, they said it's gonna help me on my taxes? Yes or no? I don't care if you believe it or not. Have you ever heard it before?
Yes.
Yes. If I buy a house, it's gonna help me on my taxes. That's what they told me. All right. I knew it. A lot of people
Hear the
heard
question.
that. Good question. Wonderful. Let's talk about it. Here we go. The itemized deduction section is made up of a combination of several things, right? Well, I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like. Let's say you bought that home and you saw the interest was about $3,400. Let's call it that. You also gave to charity right at $5,100, which is good. Sure, co-pays and prescriptions, that's a part of the itemized list. Yes, you can write those things off. Also, if you go to the eye doctor and things like that, make sure you putting those things on your taxes, okay? That's a tax tip. That's $500, okay? That's a total of about $9,050. Pretty good on itemizations. She did good. Now, Coco is head of household. So where's her section at to say that this helped her on her taxes? Well, it's good to buy a house. I'm not saying that it's not. Lord, we want to own and we want ownership, but you don't just buy the house just because it helps you on your taxes. You buy the house for ownership so that you have something and you pay less, all those other things, other benefits. But in this case, Coco itemized with her home interest because she bought that house and all of that stuff at $9,000. Her standard deduction is $18,000. Now, it didn't used to be this way, but it is now, so we can only talk about right now. What number does she get? Does she get the 18,000, or do you think she want to get the 9,000 as the standard? I'll wait. 18,000 or 9,000? Y'all can put it in the chat. 18,000. What'd you say?
18.
All day long, right? She's gonna get the 18 because it's more. So the standard deduction is 18,000. Her itemization was 9,000. She's getting the 18 automatically because she did not go above the itemized amount of the standard that's here. Her itemizations was not above the standard. She gets the standard. Now, I'm not here to say anything about anybody and what they told you. I just want to give you facts, and that's a fact. So what does this say? That means that her W-4 is filled out just like this. She didn't put anything extra on there. She did buy her home. She's going to get to write off her interest that's included into her itemizations, which is fine. And maybe it goes up and she increases her numbers more, fine. I just want us to be educated and to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, okay? So this is her W-4. Coco has a dependent. She has 2,000 in this box here. This is a good time to get your questions together because I'm basically done. 2,000 here for her one dependent that's 7 years old. You see the recap here. Multiple dependent, other dependents is 0 because she doesn't have any, but you make sure you fill this out the way you need to do it, okay? Her total amount is 2,000. She doesn't have a business or anything extra. She's not itemizing. So guess what? This is all 0. That is her W-4 right here. At the end of her form, it's her personal information. She puts her signature on there and she's good to go. You are the same exact way. It's a very short form now. If you're married, remember, you're going to share the numbers. So if you're married in this case, you and your spouse would share that 1,000 a piece, or you let the person that makes more money take the 2,000 and you put 0. That again, if your income levels are above that 400,000, we would definitely need to have some tax planning sessions and conversations because this form would be filled out slightly different because of the amount of money being made in the household. There's certain credits and stuff that are disallowed after a certain level of income. All right, so with that in mind, we are good. We got one more document and then I'm gonna be ready for questions. All right, actually, let's do questions on this document real quick because the other document is a lot, okay? Brittany, thank you so much for this. I was having too little withheld every year, never changed it at work and ended up owing taxes. I definitely understand, Britt. This happens so often. We probably need to talk because if you owe back taxes, that means they're charging you penalties and interest for not paying that stuff. They have so many different programs going on right now. It's a good time to start looking into some other options. So definitely good. Any other questions at this time about the federal form? The state form is only going to take us about 3 minutes to do, and I'm on short time. So I'm going to ask one time and I'm going to get on out of here. Any other questions on the W-4 form right now? No? Okay. All right, I'm not gonna beg tonight, not this time. Okay, so, and you'll probably have some more. Did you know that there was a state form for the state withholding? If you've been in class before, you know this, but many times, in the state of Arkansas, depending on the state you live in, so Texas doesn't pay state taxes. They pay a lot of taxes in other areas, but they don't pay state taxes. Neither does Tennessee. So different places, different states have different things. But in the state of Arkansas, which is where Money Matters is based out of, we're going to do this form real quick. It is the Arkansas Withholding Form, the AR4EC. Amazing form, tells the states how much to withhold from taxes, all right, state tax. And what you want to be clear of is that it's not the same. You don't put the same number for the federal and the state. It does not work that way. So let's go over it real quickly. With this form, here we go. Coco would put head of household because that's what she is, but you would put your number. In her case, it says head of household and you claim yourself, enter 2 exemptions. You would put a number 2 if this is you. If it's any other number, of course, you follow instructions and enter the numbers there. Enter the number of children or dependents. Coco has 1 dependent. That's what she would put on this line. And then it says total exemptions on number 3, add them all together. It is 3. Very simple. Now, number 4 says additional amount, if any, you want to be deducted from your pay. You all just told me that the government didn't need no more of your money. So with that in mind, we're gonna put 0 there. We don't want to give them no more. And it says, I qualify for low income tax rates. What I told people is always put no. And if it's supposed to be $0 that you pay in taxes, just pay 0. You don't have to go in and put those extra details there. Just pay the right amount. And if it happens to be 0, let it be 0 and call it a day. Then you put your filing status, in this case, head of household, and go from there. It says, why would there be 3 exemptions when it's her and her daughter? Because they give her 2 exemptions in the state of Arkansas. If you go here to 1C, on 1C, they give 2 exemptions. It's not the same form as federal, so it's not 1 for each person. They give you certain limits inside of the state of Arkansas, and this is what they said do on the form. So I'm just gonna follow instructions, Miss Tammy. I didn't make it up, I'm sorry. All right, so on C it said 2, so we're gonna put 2 because it says head of household and you claim yourself. So they're saying enter 2 exemptions. Then it comes and tells her to enter 1 exemption per dependent. So it's there and it would be 3 is what the state said. So if you have 2, that means you need to go in and put a 1 because you may be overpaying taxes. Look at that. All right, now you put your signature down there at the bottom and it is done. Wonderful. Now let's talk about 1 or 2 more things and then I gotta get to questions real quick. Man, where did the time go? My goodness. Okay, let's ask a simple question. Real simple. Did you get a refund last year? Yes or no? Now, Miss Brittany told us she didn't. She messed up. It's okay. We're going to do better. If you got a refund last year, somebody said, yeah, I got one. Nope, didn't get one. We need more strategies. All right. Nope, didn't get one. Need more strategies. That's okay. All right. It's all right. Either way, we have to ask ourselves this question. If we are getting large refunds, how much of Uncle Sam's, how much of your money is Uncle Sam holding? Most people are averaging about $3,600, $2,500 to $3,600 a year is the average refund. That's statistics from the IRS. That means that you have 0 earning potential if you're giving the IRS or allowing them to hold your money. This is very important. When we talk about cash flow, we want to wrap that all around. Well, Candace, why are you saying that this is how you create cash flow? Because if you fix your W-4 and you get an increase on your paycheck, that means that's money that's going in your pocket right now. The increase should be the right amount though. And if you're underpaying your taxes and you owe, you're creating bills for yourself. So the important part is to have a balance of how much taxes you're paying. And the goal is to either write them $100 check or they write you $100 check, because that meant you controlled your money all year long and Uncle Sam was not holding on to your money during that time. So when we say no earning potential, what does that mean? Well, that means that you could have been making money with your money if instead of giving it to Uncle Sam. Now, Mr. Thomas showed you what $100 look like, what $500 look like. What I'm looking at here is 10% over the next 30 years. Now, we already kind of went over this, so I won't stay here long, but $300 a month over the next 5 years at a 10% rate of return, and that's fairly low, especially these days. That's $27,000. In 30 years, it's right at $727,000. So if you're a young person, you could just take a little bit of money and make major changes over a 30-year period. Of course, you can look at the timelines and see what the numbers can look like if you don't have as much time. Same thing is at $500 a month. We showed these numbers earlier. At 10 years, $109,000 at 10%. Remember the rate of return going up. makes your money go up as well. Over a 30-year period, that's $1.2 million. The goal is for you to be able to start planning now. And if you messed up at your current age, right, you can't go back, but you know somebody, you got kids, you got siblings, or any of those things, start and educate them, bring them to these classes so that they can start doing this stuff. And we don't have to pass down generational curses, I'd say, because we're starting at zero over and over again. So that's my piece for tonight. Wanted to show you how to create some cash flow with the money that you already have in your pocket. It's already there. You just have to start being smart with it, especially if you're getting large refunds, because most of the time that money is spent. Most times now, you all are a lot, you know, y'all do real good, but most times that money is spent before they even get it, because they got plans and we go on trips or buying all kind of stuff with those funds. So we just want to be very smart. It's a good time for Q&A, question and answer. Let's talk about it. And then we're going to give you some assignments for the next class. Any questions over this topic or anything tax related, if I can assist you? Ooh, y'all quiet on me. You can unmute yourselves or you can post it in the chat, either way.
Yes, I didn't do my taxes last year.
Okay.
You know, time just run, you know, because I've been gone most of the week, so.
That's understood. So if you didn't do your taxes, hopefully you filed an extension. If you didn't, that's okay. One thing to remember is that you can always get a if you didn't file and you don't owe, there won't be any penalties or interest or anything. If you do owe, there will be penalty and interest, but the important part is to do your best to have them filed before October 15th, because the e-file system, which is the electronic filing system, closes on October 15th with the IRS, and you don't want to mail them anything right now because they take a long time. All right, so we definitely want to get that done as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Great one, Desmond. All right, I'm going to give you some homework. Here we go. What are some ways to reduce your tax burdens? Oh, Mr. Donald, I hope you're on one of the next classes. I'm going to talk about, thank you, Mr. Marcus. I'm going to talk about a home-based business, which is the #1 way of saving money on taxes. I'm going to be super honest. You have to control your tax situation. And one of the ways, the #1 ways, is a home-based business, because you get to turn your regular expenses into business expenses. And we will talk about that on one of the classes coming up. I actually teach that class myself, so we're definitely going to be there. All right. Let's see. All right, I got 6 minutes. So you have assignments that are to be done, no problem, Mr. Donald. That's coming up, okay? Your assignment, your next assignment is to go to crown.org. Write this down, put it in the chat. Somebody help me, put it in the chat. Where are you gonna go? Crown.org. This is a free site. Or what site? A free site for you to be able to go and prepare your debt analysis. Now, all of the work that's been given to you throughout this time, let's put that in the chat. Let me make sure I get that in there, and I'm gonna go to it around crown.org. All the information that's been given to you over this time period is to prepare you for your debt plan. So we're getting ready to tell you how to pay your debt off, what to do first and second, and all those things, right? That sounds wonderful, but if you didn't do the first few assignments, the first couple of things we gave you, it's gonna be hard for you to get your debt and put it into this system. Okay, so we definitely want you to, I got something spelled. I might have spelled it wrong. Let me make sure, because this is not right. 1 second. Oh, I'm putting it wrong. 1 second. I thought I was getting it together. There we go. Okay, I got it coming up. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick, and we're going to get ready to close out for tonight. So if you did not get a chance to do those other assignments and these success steps, you want to get those done, because now we're getting ready to talk about paying your debt off. Everything matters, those small things. We're giving it to you in little chunks so that you can get it done, right? You have a week in between time, all those things. So this week, last week, You had do your assignments, track your spending. Now this week we're saying, hey, finish up that what I spend worksheet, get all that information in, and all of your debt you're going to put into this system. So under crown.org, you're going to be able to go to this website, crown.org. Make sure you do the .org, because it if you don't, it makes it to where it's not the right site. So you go under money, and then you go to financial calculators. Okay. When you go to financial calculators, and it's kind of loading here, you go to money, financial calculators, and then you're going to go to debt snowball. All right, debt snowball, financial calculators is coming. I'm sorry, my system's moving a little slow, I guess. And then you're going to go to debt snowball. Here we go. The first one here on the left, open calculator. When you go into this calculator, you're going to fill out your personal information. It says, here's all the info, click let's go, and you put it in. So you remember that worksheet we gave you that said what I spend, and it had each section. How much do you owe? What's the creditor name? What's the interest rate? What's the payoff amount? Guess what? All that information is here. We set you up so that it's easy for you to take that information and transfer it to this document, into the system. And it's going to create a workflow for you that tells you if you pay this off first, you pay this off second, and this is when you'll be debt free. Earlier, someone asked, hey, I want to pay my mortgage off, or hey, I want to do this. I want to pay some stuff off in the next 3 years. This debt plan that they're going to give you on crown.org, guess what? It's free, and you're going to be able to tell and see how much money you need to apply to your debt and what you need to do to make it happen. Okay. So crown.org, here are the steps for you to make sure that you do them properly. Crown.org, here you go. Go to crown.org, take a picture of this, please, if you need to. These are the steps: crown.org, financial calculators, and debt snowball calculators. That's what you do to make sure. And then when you click it, put in your personal info. Again, crown.org, financial calculators, debt snowball calculators, and then put in your personal info. That's simple. Did you take a picture? You got it? Yes. Yes. No, maybe. Say something. Help me out. You got it? You took a picture? You wrote it down? Something. Put some spin on your paper. Okay, good.
Okay. Oh, got it.
Perfect, perfect. You know, y'all quiet, so I gotta say something. Y'all help me out. Okay, perfect. So, Mr. Charles Thomas, I am done with my session for the night. We talked about cash flow and we got it done. I hope that they learned something. I didn't get as many questions as normal, but we're okay. I'm good. Anything else? I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Great education session on the W-4. Just know, guys, that if you got some debt, take the money out of that W-4, create you a margin, and use your W-4 money to pay down your debt. That's money right now, goes to the federal government. They hold it for you. And guess what you do with it? At the end of the year, you spend it. You spend it on a vacation, you spend it on something, but it does not go to work. I want you to create some cash flow for yourself. And one of the first places to start is inside your taxes. Okay. Hey, she gave you the homework. I'm not going to load you with a lot of other bunch of stuff. Just know our goal is to create the debt plan. Find the money. Find the money. Your goal is to go through your spending plan and find the money. Okay. Don't forget to pull your SSA.gov, your Social Security piece, find out what your Social Security benefits look like. We're going to talk about that later. Just want to get that out of the way now. And okay, lastly, it's okay to pay taxes in at the end of the year. As long as it's not a whole lot of taxes. You got to write a check for $50, $100, $200 or $300. That's fine. You got a chance to keep your money for the whole year. I'd much rather you write a check than get back a whole bunch of money that sit there for 18 to 20 months and you didn't get any interest on it. Just understand, you just those W-4s. If you were getting a refund, that refund is going to come to you every pay period and you won't get it at the end of the year. Okay, just transferring the money. Any questions before we close out? We're pretty much done. Any questions from anybody? Any questions?
Yes, good evening. I was listening to the discussion on the taxes. If you didn't file, isn't it true though, you have a certain time frame to do tax filing? And I'm not talking about the October 15th and April 15th. I'm talking about like if you don't complete all of it within a 3 year, because that windows have changed.
Can you?
Prior
There we go.
years,
There's a 3-year window for you to amend your taxes and receive your refund, but you can actually file taxes back 10 years if that's what's required. So there's
Okay.
not a timeline there, but in order to amend, which means to redo your taxes, you have a 3-year time frame in order for you to get your refund on those taxes. Good question.
Okay. Hey, listen. the
I
person-
have one last one. If you're retired, do they take out Social Security taxes from your Social Security check?
Not necessarily. It is optional. And it really depends on how much money you have coming in and your situation. So some people, if their income limits are higher, sometimes they elect for that. But on a natural, do we take taxes out? No, but it is an optional thing for you to do.
Awesome.
All right, good questions.
Good question. Good question. Any more questions before we close out? Any more questions? We are absolutely, any volunteers to pray us out tonight? Great class tonight. Great job, Candace Woodruff.
I will.
Oh, we got a volunteer. Okay, Miss Jeanette. Yeah, pray us out tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Father God, we just want to thank you for St. Mark on tonight to give us the opportunity to hear Mr. Thomas and Candace Woodruff to give us this valuable information on tonight about our finances and our taxes. Lord says in Deuteronomy 28:11 says, the Lord shall up upon and open up to thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy hand in his season, and to bless all the work of thy hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. So God, we asking you that we all listen and take heed to what they are teaching and giving us from all the leaders to be what thus saith the Lord. In your son Jesus' name that we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you,
Amen.
Miss Jeanette. Lastly, guys, when you fill out that crown.org, you're going to put your regular stuff in there. It's going to have a section where you can put some extra money in. On that extra section, the extra money was going to pay your plan off early, but you got to create some extra money. So look for the extra money that you can put inside your debt elimination plan on crown.org. Okay. Good night, everybody. Have a blessed day.
Good night.
Good night.